their cost isn't monetary, it's treatatory. I can't believe I just did that!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Lone Limit Podcast. I'm your host, Chelsie. This is your girl, Jay. Ashlee,
Hey.
What's up?
Hi! Oh my god, I feel like it's weird. I feel like I haven't seen you, but I know I've definitely seen you, but it feels like I haven't seen you.
I feel like I need to make an announcement before we get started today, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So to our viewers, if you're watching this, I need to let you know that I went on a vacation and I lost the fight against the sun. So, my forehead looks like Darth Maul right now. So when I get dramatic later and I zoom in, I don't want to see nothing in the comments about what's happening with her forehead, all right? I know I look like one of your childhood villains. Listen, I know I look like one of your childhood villains. I don't need you to tell me, okay?
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Meanwhile, for me, I remember when I saw you, I was like, okay, vacation hair and nails.
Meanwhile, I popped one off yesterday. So, we're just... If you don't see my hands in this episode, don't worry about it. How about that?
That's why.
Didn't even realize I talked so much with my hands until we started this podcast. Like, genuinely, I was like, oh, that's a thing I do.
Yourself doing a podcast. So for me, eye rolls. And I'm very even right now, I'm very expressive with my left hand only. Like, I don't know why my right hand doesn't want to partake. It's like left hand only. So
it feels like Talladega Nights when he was like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah. No, I think he said that when we were doing like an edit one time, and I was just like, yeah, I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know I did this until I'm seeing myself do it. I'm like, what am I doing?
It is what it is.
It is.
But now
it's
that my
real.
announcement
and
is
our podcast
over,
is very real, so.
It is real. We 100% are real, which is why I got a question for you right off the cuff to get us going. And it's going to be a real answer because you have no idea what this question is going to be.
What is it?
I love the nervous laughter. Like, it's almost like you don't trust me. I got
My
this,
voice will betray me every single time. Every single time. Yeah.
Y'all, she'll send me like voice notes and I'll just respond with, she said with a question mark.
Exactly. Yeah.
She'd be like, don't worry about it.
And you'd be like, oh. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. I'm ready. I'm like prepared.
That's fair. I'm curious, if you were to recommend a book to someone who's just getting into smut, what would you recommend?
Oof. Okay. My recommendation would be, shut up, I know you know I'm stalling.
It's like I can hear your brain, like, it's like that SpongeBob episode where he has like the filing cabinets in his brain and he goes searching for an answer. I can hear the mini J's yanking open. No more stalling, off the cuff, real answer, intro to smut. What are you recommending?
Don't tell me what to do. Okay. My recommendation across the board almost always is go with what you already like. So yes. If you're going to start off with smut, I would say start with the general thing that you already like. I don't mean smut-wise, I mean like genre-wise. So my recommendation, I was setting it up. I actually wasn't stalling. I was actually setting it up. So I love anything with a spy. So my recommendation is actually a super throwback, and I'm hopefully I remember the title correctly. It's called You've Got Mail. I'm not gonna say the author because I'm not confident who the author is, but we'll show it. It's You've Got Mail, and it's actually a part of a series. It's the first book of the series. That one's not my favorite, but you know me, I have to start with the first book. It's the first book of a spy series, and it has some like smut in it. So that would be my recommendation.
I just have to ask a clarifying question.
Okay.
We're not getting this confused with the Tom Hanks movie, are we?
No. No.
I just needed to double check, man. I needed to know for sure.
Yeah, no, to be fair, and it's funny because you'll see it when we put the title up. Male is M-A-L-E. So, yeah.
Now I'm mad.
Why are you mad?
There's something about that title just makes me go, I don't want to read it. I'm good. It's
Valid.
not for me.
I just, for me, it was actually the first, like, smut-filled book I ever read. So that's, like, when you go, introduction to smart, I think, like, what was my introduction to it? Yeah. And I totally was hooked because it was a spy series. So I read every single one.
That's fair. I think I would have to say something written by, let me refine my answer here, because that was going to be very broad. I would say either Sleek Kitten by S.J. Tilley or Mile High by Liz Tom Ford. Because the smut is there, but there's enough story where you're like, okay, I'm not just reading corn. You know what I mean? And it's also like the smut isn't aggressive, you know, like we're not getting into whips and chains, you know, Rihanna and Britney Spears out here.
That literally started playing in my head. I don't know if you saw, everyone was like, it started playing in my head. Yeah, no, those are great ones. Those are really great. Yeah. Having read both of those books, those are great intro books. Dang. I still stand on mine for sentimental reasons, I guess. And once like you said, it's not an aggressive one, but those are good ones. Dang. See, if I had forethought. Anyway.
I didn't have forethought.
Those are great.
I literally looked at my shelf.
Those are great. You look at my shelf. No, I'm not recommending those for first time. So nah.
Once again, I just want to state that Jay reserves all rights to change her mind and opinions once this episode airs. If you have more questions about what you should be reading if you're new to smut, feel free to DM us. It doesn't matter if it's on our personal Instagrams or the show's Instagram. Yeah. We're happy to send you in the right direction, because trust me when I say I have read a little bit of everything. And there are still some things I'm discovering myself.
I feel like we're like unofficially gonna end up being like book fairy god sisters.
Like
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But like maybe. I mean, I have already, like, I mean, you know this. I take book recommendations very seriously. And I already have like really spent the time with a couple of friends. Like really like one-on-one. But like, what do you already like? What are you open to? Like whatever. And gave some book recs. And they've like loved some of the recommendations. It just makes my heart swell. You know, like how the Grinch and his heart get bigger? That's how I feel when people like my book recs.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of book recs, I have a question for you.
Another one?
It's just our hot topics. You'll be okay.
Okay.
If someone recommends a book to you, if it has a hot guy cover or like a cartoon cover, are you less likely to read it? Or does that make you want to read it more depending on the cover?
Interesting. I am very anti real human on the cover. I have never really loved that. And I think it's more like a generational thing than anything else. Like, I feel like when I see like real humans on the cover, it reminds me of like Fabio era.
He was the like, windswept hair,
with the wind and the hair, and the
billowy shirt,
and he was just in everything. And it was like he was like the moment. He was like the book cover moment.
Exactly.
And I'm like, but no. So that's what my mind automatically thinks of. And obviously, you do have like real men that are, you know, they're casted and stuff to match what the actual male main character looks like. But still, like, I don't read because I want an image for me, if that makes sense. So I'm very, 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 very pro cartoon cover. I know some people don't love it, and I can understand why. It's just a preference. I don't like a real human on the cover because I'm just like, you're giving me an image that I feel like I'm cheating. I don't get to build the image that you're writing for me. And then also, if I don't find the hot guy on the cover hot, you've kind of ruined the entire thing for me from jump. So please don't do that. Please. Or listen, have alternate covers. I'm very happy with alternate covers, but don't do that. Please don't do that.
I feel like if you recommend me a book and you give me a hot guy cover, I now have to do research on why you think I should read this book. Because
hilarious.
No. Okay, so for example, here's a little shout out right here. I just read Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, I have the book with me. Let me just show you. I'm going to show you the cover and then explain what the story is really about. And you would not guess the two align.
Ooh.
All right. First off, love this book. It's a 5-star read. If you haven't read it and you love a good plot twist.
That's your 5-star vibe shelf, isn't it?
It is partially. Now it's starting to extend to a shelf that y'all can't see because I've been reading a lot of physical books lately. It's getting a little out of hand. If you notice, my stack has moved. All right. But this is the cover of this book.
Okay.
This book is essentially a murder mystery.
Interesting. Yeah, that's not, nope.
There is romance in it. Mm-hmm. Yes. But that cover does not give the vibe of the actual book. And when I tell you, it has been so hard pitching this book to people. Because of the cover. Every time I go to recommend this book, okay, they pull it up, they see the cover, and they go, what? And I go, I promise you, I looked, there's no alternate cover. Ooh. I literally stalked everywhere, including Walmart, for this book in a different cover. And I couldn't get it anywhere because this is the only cover, and it is a special edition because sprayed edges. Ooh. But I was like, oh yeah, so cute, right? I know. I legitimately so glad I did not see the cover before I read this book, okay? Because
how?
So if you are reading a book on Kindle, it'll just start you on the first chapter. If you want to see the cover, you have to go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I just hit download, opened it, started reading based off of some Instagram ads. Well, it wasn't even ads. It was like people I follow were telling me about it. And so then I was like, oh, I mean, it's up my alley. It's a dark romance. Here we go.
Okay, quick question.
Uh-oh.
I understand when you open the Kindle, it starts on the first page. Personally, I can't stand that. Anyway. Same. So when you went to get it, you didn't see the cover?
I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
So here's the
I wasn't trying to poke holes in the theory. I just thought that was strange. Yeah. No, that cover would make me go, nope. And then as soon as you followed it up with it's a murder mystery, I'd have been like, absolutely no.
I just feel like you can't say that sentence as we start spooky season, okay? This is my time to shine, Jay. We're going to work on that sentence, okay? I know today's episode was dipping your toe in it. Not even. It just was...
Sure. I dipped a pinky.
It was like, you know, when you warm up baby formula and you got a test on your wrist, you know?
Okay. I wasn't sure where you were going, but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I saw that face.
Because I was like, do you know who you're talking
to? You know what? I can't. But listen, we need to talk about something as we get into spooky season. Mm-hmm. It's time, Jay, for you to put your big girl pants on.
I don't like big girl pants.
Remember, Fergie said big girls don't cry, okay? Pull it together.
Okay.
I think it's time for you to branch out of your comfort zone of cute, fluffy, light romances. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Mm-hmm. I got the colorful little covers over here. Uh-huh. But it's time to branch out. So I'm curious, what would get you to actually branch out?
Having a podcast with a dark romance reader.
excuse me while I go die, because, you know, she just aimed straight for me, and I don't understand why I'm taking the strays.
Okay, in all seriousness, like, obviously, yes, this podcast, I've already read books that I probably wouldn't have read if we didn't have this podcast, so that's my truth. I have ventured out of my book comfort zone a couple of times, and I'm usually grateful for it, but I usually consider them like anomalies. I'm like, okay, cool, run back to my little fluffy corner. So I am always open and not necessarily looking, but I'm always open to going outside of my established book preferences.
Right.
And I love when I find something that I love outside of it. Because when I find something I don't love outside of it, I'm like, yeah, see, this is why I know what I like and I stick with it. Don't play with me, you know? So, so in seriousness, having friends that read other things, the thing is that they can recommend things all day. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm never going to read it. But for the podcast, I actually will. There are a couple of times that I have branched out, and it usually was kind of like maybe with a buddy read or something, and it was kind of like I felt like someone was holding my hand through a book. So
that's fair.
I am a fraidy cat. Like, here's the thing: I am strong and brave, and I do scary things in life all the time. Hush. But for me, reading is such a comfort zone, and it's a thing that I do in my free time. It's a thing that brings me joy. So I tend not to venture outside of light and fluffy in that world, because I'm like, the world is scary. I don't want to read scary. But I am open to it, and I probably will do it. Today's book was a little bit of a venture for me. And I do it. I do consider them more anomalies.
Hold on.
But it does happen.
Hold on. Pause. Mm-hmm. You said today's book was an adventure for you.
It was.
Are you, because it's not a scary book today. I'm trying to make it make sense, because guys, today's book is not a scary book whatsoever. So is it the fan?
I didn't say
it's a fantasy. So is it that? Is that what?
I mean, we'll really get into it when we do the book breakdown. I don't think that that's a bad thing. It's just that it was an adventure. It's not my norm.
I'm just trying to make it. I'm trying to understand how it was out of your norm, because I feel like you read a lot. It was still light and fluffy. So I'm just like, is it because it's a fantasy?
I mean, like, I had to like do research to figure out the creatures.
All right, that's fair. I did not do research. I just said, this is what my brain thinks it is, so this is what it is. And we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Nah, I needed assistance.
So, I would say, sorry, my ADHD guys just, got sidetracked by something out the window. I would say this podcast for sure is going to end up getting me out of my comfort zone. I will say the way we diplomatically decide books is not really pushing either one of us out of our comfort zone just yet. But we're going to work on it. We're going to push ourselves towards some stuff. But this one definitely was.
That is the funniest thing, because we do diplomatically decide, and so I feel a dictatorship brewing.
It's spooky season. We're absolutely turning this into a dictatorship, I hope you know. For things that we're reading on the podcast, for things we're not reading on the podcast. Listen, this is my time to shine, guys. Yeah, it's cold in the morning when I leave for work. All right? I'm here for it. Fall is my time. There's already a comforter with bats on it on my bed, okay? I bought bookmarks yesterday. Bats. It's freaking bats. Listen, I went shopping yesterday, guys. I got bats.
Oh my God. So I'm a Libra. I love fall. October is my favorite month because it's my birthday month. I can't stand that I share it with spooky season. Like, that's like the only thing I don't like about being in October.
Cut the cameras. I'm done.
I'm done. But like, yeah, it's
Okay,
the only thing I don't like about having an October birthday is that like everything is spooky and pumpkin flavored. I can't stand pumpkins.
All right, I'll do the pumpkin, but give me something apple spiced, cinnamon,
Apple cider,
something.
everything, yes. Hot chocolate, always, yes.
I will say, outside of this podcast, what will really get me to read something that's outside of my norm is if it's from a trusted source.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot. All right.
Now, for you, what's a trusted source? Are you referring to an author or like a book friend recommendation, that kind of thing?
It depends. It really depends. My boss, avid reader, but she reads a lot more on the cleaner side of things. So usually when I just need a break from the dark romance, I'm like, "What you reading, boss? What you up to, girl?"
You need a palate cleanser.
But I just need a break from like some of the darkest stuff possible. I'd be like, "So what you got on that young adult shelf over there? What you doing, friend?" Like, no tea, no shade.
I stand on this. YA have some phenomenal books. They're just youngins.
I got two on my shelf right here. All right? Yeah. I got two right here.
YA, don't sleep on YA. Those are some great writing and great authors over on that end too.
Exactly. And then a lot of my coworkers are readers. They don't read at the speed that I do. That's not a diss. But I will say they look at me a little crazy, but then I come to them for book recs, and then they get excited because they know I'm going to read it fast, and then we could talk about it. So I usually go to them, you know. That's how I ended up reading Fourth Wing. Was Fourth Wing ever on my radar? No. But all of a sudden, my coworker was like, "Please, I need to talk to somebody about it." And I was like, fine.
People have put it on my radar multiple times. Unless we do it for
You're not going to like it.
Probably not. Yeah. Thank you.
You're not going to like it.
From the blurb, I was kind of like, yeah, respectfully, I'm going to just keep dodging this recommendation.
You are not a world building girly. I get it. It's totally fine.
No.
But I will say there is a woman who recommended today's book, and I trust her wholeheartedly. I'm gonna tag her below because I'm probably about to butcher her name, but her name on Instagram is like Meg's Tea Room, and she's all about cozy fantasies, you know, like that kind of vibe. And so she recommended today's book, and I was like, I don't know, friend, I don't know. But then, you know what? I read it, and I'm ready to talk about it because somebody, I'm not going to say who, said I wasn't going to enjoy this book, and I felt like it was a challenge.
Of course you did.
So I feel like we should get into this book because we need to talk. I got some questions for you.
Ooh, what I do?
All right. So, the first of many spooky season books we're going to read this year, guys, is called Legends and Lattes. I got the book right here. So, if you're curious, here we go. First off, I owned this book before we picked it. All right? And for some reason, somebody was like, you're not going to enjoy it. Well, I paid for it, so I got to read it either way.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. What are your questions?
Well, I'm really curious, first of all, what you thought of the book, since you thought I wasn't going to like it. Did you like it?
I did like it. I thought it was cute. I thought it was adorable. For me, it felt like if Light and Fluffy had creatures. And so that's why I thought maybe you would like it. I thought it was so adorable. Like, but I absolutely did not know what a orc was. Orc?
It's an orc.
It's an orc, yeah. So I literally was like, huh? And then I was like, you know what, Jay? Just think Shrek, but like stronger. And then one day I was reading it and I was like, why did I think Shrek? It's Fiona, but stronger. And then here's how you know this is not my world.
I can't.
I promise you, that's what I said to myself.
Okay.
But here's how you know I don't usually do this, and I felt so stupid when I realized it. I was like, yo, the main character is on the cover. Why was I trying to figure it out? They gave me the answers.
This is like one of those tests that your teacher gives you in like middle school where they're like, read all the questions first and then start. And then you get to like number 65 and it was like, if you've made it this far, or it was like, just flip the paper over, you don't actually have to take the test. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, you didn't pay attention to the instructions.
To all of them, yeah. So I referred to the cover a lot because, like, multiple times, like, he'll, like, the author Travis Baldree, I believe it is. Yeah. I listened to it. So I listened to the audiobook, and the author actually does the audiobook. And I will say this, I think this is the best author read book I've ever come across. Like,
yes, if you didn't say that, I was gonna be mad, because when I tell you I absolutely loved listening to Travis's voice, and the fact that, like, I'm sorry, Travis, if your pronouns are wrong, so just correct us. You know, we never want to disrespect. I loved that they had different voices for all the characters and stuff, and like you could still tell who was who and everything like that. Like, I kind of got lost in the character names, but as soon as I heard their voice, I was like, oh, I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah, I struggled with. I had to like list them all out. Like, every time I came across a character, I had to write it down and like what they did because I was confused. But literally, as soon as he did like the voices, as soon as like Travis did the voices, I was like, yes. Like Cal and his like, I'm obsessed. But like, oh wait, what's the baker's name? The baker's name is Thimble, Mr. Thimble, who like barely ever speaks, and I love Mr. Thimble.
His little whispers.
It took me a while until like the cat came around, where I was like, oh, he's a rat or a mouse or something. Like, it took me a while to kind of figure some of those things out. So yeah, listen. This is the best author read audiobook I've come across ever. Granted, I understand I don't have a large like library to pull from to say that, but from what I have read, hands down the best I've ever come across.
I agree. I know that's a shocker for you, but I actually really enjoyed this story. First off, I'm a sucker for the character that Cal is. That kind of like grumpy, but like I'm still gonna take care of you, angry old man vibe. That, like, how do I put this? Like, that right there, I don't even care what the main character is doing. Just give me that side character, and that's all I need. I was literally at book club yesterday, stressed out, because I was worried that something was going to happen to Cal in this story, and I was like, this was supposed to be a cozy read, but if something happens to Cal, I'm throwing hands. Like, luckily someone in my book group had already read the book, so they were like, oh, don't worry, like, he'll be okay. Yeah, that was like the only thing she gave me in this story, but I literally was like, oh, thank God. I was able to read the rest of the story very cozy, very comfortable, but like, I have to say, Travis, if you give me a little novella of Cal's life, take all my money. Take it. Should we just like get into it?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of let's jump in.
I mean, like we talk about characters, but
yeah,
I don't really know how to break down a cozy fantasy, guys. So like, bear with me here, because this is a 1-of-1 situation, although I bought the sequel, so we'll see how this goes. Maybe I've found my little pocket of fantasy that I can read.
Okay.
But what did you think about how in this story, some of the things that we eat and drink on a daily basis were like new magical things to these people? What did you think about that? Like croissants and cinnamon rolls and coffee, iced coffee at that? What did you think about those being created by, like, magical people in this world and people first discovering them?
The coffee shop coming together was, like, the sweetest thing. I kid you not, I literally have it on my note. Like, I felt such pride for the coffee shop. Like, I was, like, right there with them. And it was so interesting because I personally feel like Liv is such a phenomenal boss.
Viv,
I love that she gave. I said Liv. I meant Vivian. Well, I don't even know if it's Vivian, but Viv. I definitely, Viv.
Yeah.
I thought Viv was such a phenomenal boss, and I liked the way she operated in the sense of she saw someone that had a skill,
Yeah.
and she approached them and valued them from jump with compensation. Yeah. And gave them the time and space to grow, to make mistakes and everything like that and figure it out collectively. Like, I really, 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 really loved Viv in that regard. Yeah. And I kind of liked how...
I love that she, like, she knew that she could do it with brute force, but she was like, there ain't no need for that. Either you're going to do it or you're not. All right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I respect that. I respect that a lot.
Yeah. I really love how it really became like a community. Like,
yes.
I don't want to say by accident, you know, but it really became
it was by accident
because it was like, okay, all the people that were involved with like creating it, and then it was like, okay, then it was like, well, we need customers. And then, like, when the customers started, it was like they became a community too. Like, they showed up all the time. All the, like, it was so cute.
It felt like the watering hole for misfits. You know what I mean?
Don't understand the reference, but I'm assuming yes.
Okay, like, the watering hole is where everyone all the animals gather to drink water, right? Mm-hmm. But they were all kind of misfits. Like, you had a succubus, you had an orc. Cal, I still don't quite know what Cal is, but in my head, he's just a grumpy old man. You got Thimble,
I literally
who doesn't even
Cal
speak.
The carpenter, because I didn't know what Cal was, but a carpenter.
Yeah, like, you've got the musician who, like, literally is terrified to speak but can play incredible music. Mm-hmm. You had that random student who just was, like, there, and he was like, I don't really drink hot stuff.
That was so funny.
All these people. Like, it just was one of those things where it was, like, just, like, a band of misfits coming together. Mm-hmm. Like, almost like a Bad News Bear situation, and I was like, I love this. This is so cute. Yeah,
it was very cute. I also liked how, you know, they were customers, but they became, like I said, a community. Like, they came every day. Like, she knew their timing. Like, she kept trying to, like, improve things. And, like, obviously, at the end of the day, it's a business, sure. But even with those improvements, it was to make the customers happy. Not necessarily to keep them coming back, because they were, like, they were going to be addicted to coffee. They were going to come back. But it was like, they were like, oh, this would kind of improve the thing. And she was like, oh, let me improve this, you know? So I really liked the way Viv operated as a boss. I really liked the way the shop came together, how it brought people together. Like Mr. Thimble, who, like, never said anything, but was like, latte.
Did you ever watch Tale of Despero with, like, little mouse and the sword and everything?
I didn't see it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the characters. I catch in the drift.
That is Thimble in my mind. Like, whenever he was on screen, and, like, we'll put a picture of Tales of Despero here, but that's what I thought of every time he would come around, was like this little mouse. Just, like, her own versions of Ratatouille. Like,
I, like, mentally kind of saw him a little bit like Ratatouille, but maybe, like, a bit more furrier in a weird way. So it's interesting. It didn't even, like, I could not figure out what he was creature-wise until Amity, the meerkat, the dire cat. The dire cat came around, and, like,
a meerkat and a dire cat are very different.
Listen, for me, I just said, I kid you not, my note for Amity was like, what is it? And then I kept, like, my guesses, and then I finally was like, oh, it's a cat.
First off, a meerkat is like Timon from Lion King.
No, I know.
And then Amity is like almost like a mythical saber-toothed tiger sort of situation.
Okay, that was what I saw in my mind, like a big, furry,
jungle
like,
cat.
Can tear you apart cat, but, like, it chooses to be docile. That was, like, in my mind. And the way that, like, Amity became, like... like, the coffee shop security was, like, everything.
Amity said, I got a job to do. Don't worry about it. When it's time, I'm top flight security. Don't worry.
And Amity knew vibes. You better come correct, because Amity would be vibes.
I really want to get into the main story here. While it is a cozy fantasy, there is a little bit of tension. So, for those who have not read it, the main story is about Viv opening a coffee shop, and there is what they call a madrigal in town. I'm very much butchering how to pronounce that. I very much apologize. But as soon as she starts in town, homie rolls up and is like, yo, you got to pay your protection dues or we going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And this is where my attention came in. Cause,
is that like a thing in fantasy worlds? Because like I didn't know what it was initially. And literally my notes, I was like, okay, it's like the mafia.
I mean, I've never read it as a madrigal.
Magical, something like that, yeah.
Madrigal. But I mean, like, I know about it in the mafia sense.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know the mafia world either, so.
That's like a real life thing. Listen, I'm from the Bay. We'll talk about it later.
I'll really keep track of mafia stuff.
But
you in this area? I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Ooh, extra stage left. But I will say, homie showing up asking for protection money and Viv being like, yo, don't worry about it. I'm not paying this. I was like, if he harms one hair on Cal's head, we gonna fight.
For me, the concern was Tangerine. Tangerine.
Who?
There was
Tangerine?
Yeah, the little
the succubus
tail one.
The succubus.
What? Yeah.
Didn't know what that was either, did you?
I don't, no. So that one was so hard for me to imagine. I was like, I don't know what. Other than the fact that it was like,
once again, she's on the cover.
When I looked at the cover, I was like, that's what she looks like. And then the tail was very helpful. I'm so glad the tail was in the cover too. Because
the way that thing was swishing in my mind.
Was like,
yep.
Like the little S she did when she was like nervous. Yeah. No, the cover was everything to me. It was like the glossary in the back of the book. Like, I referred to it multiple times.
So, with that story, guys, essentially it is what matters the most. Because Viv is hiding a secret stone that she thinks has given her the ability to run such an amazing coffee shop. She searched for it, ripped it out of a creature, all kinds of stuff. So here comes this little fantasy mafia coming to destroy everything she's fought for after a life as a bounty hunter. And I'm going to tell you right now, even though this was a cozy fantasy, that storyline was great to me. It had everything I needed in it. I was not here like, oh my God, when will this end? It was very much like, yo, what are we doing? What's happening? Who's doing what in this little town? Yeah.
The magical storyline was definitely relevant. It made me very nervous. Oh my God. It made me so nervous. And then for it to resolve the way that it did, I loved it. Because one, I love that Viv stood on, I don't want to pay this. I don't need your protection. Like, get away from me.
She said, excuse me? Who do you
know
think
who
you
I
are?
am? Yeah, like,
she said, let me put my sword up above this cafe so you remember.
Okay, so even Blackbird, sorry, not Blackbird, Black Blood.
Yeah, I was like, that's a different name.
Black Blood is mentioned. The whole time I was like, what is it? Like, literally, this is what I said. Hold on. I literally had Black Blood ? I was like, is it a thing? Is it a pet? And then I go, I think it's a weapon. And then I go, oh, it's a blade.
Wow, guys, it was really great during this podcast. I'm going to sign off now because I can't do this. I have no comments.
I didn't know. I kid you not, those are my notes. I was like, is it a pet? I was confused. And when I finally figured it out, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
I can't. I don't even know.
I didn't know you named your weapons, and I don't know if that weapon's name is a known name. Out of my comfort zone, y'all. Don't judge me. I'm out of my comfort zone.
Is this your first fantasy read? Or, do you watch fantasy shows?
Not sometimes. It's not my first fantasy read. I do watch fantasy shows, but like not a lot. I kid you not. I literally had to use Shrek as reference for like a good top quarter of the book before I realized the cover was more accurate. So yeah.
Well, guys, you can tell that I'm the one who picked the movie. I mean, not the movie, the book.
The book
for today's episode. You know, I won't lie to you. It was fantasy. I mean, it was spooky season, so I just came with like a stack of books and said, "Here you go. Here you go."
I think I only had like 2 options to bring to the table, and you were like, "I got it."
Yo, she brought me some options. And I said, "If you could just, okay."
Yeah, you were like, "What about this?"
And I said, "That was cute. I appreciate your comments."
But I don't even remember what mine were, but it was probably, I think, like, no joke, I think it was just, like, set in fall. It
I was like, I went
during
spooky.
fall.
And I was like, you know what? We're going to ease you in, all right? We're going to take this step by step.
Yeah.
But by the end, come Halloween, you're reading something scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not spoiling what it is, but...
I know, I gotta make sure I get all my sleeps in to, like, in case I run out.
Guys, I need to explain how spooky season is about to go. And I know this is a little side tangent here, but we are dealing with a co-host that got nightmares from reading Twisted Love. So just bear with us, okay?
That's not even a joke. I literally had to stop reading at 6 p.m. because I couldn't sleep at night.
So I know it's spooky season, guys, and don't worry, I'm going to give you a whole list of recommendations on my actual Instagram. So go there if you want the good spooky stuff, all right? But if you want more of a cozy,
go to Chelsie.
Like spooky season, if you want that cozy stuff, you know, she's got you with the fall rainy day Rex, okay?
Yeah. Not a lot, but like a solid 2.
Okay, so maybe I might have some of those for you too. Now back to this story, because Travis did something that for once I didn't predict. Mr. Finish, this band, Finish, from the crew. So, Viv's old bounty hunter, sorry, I had to fit it in, crew. Clearly no one's a dog, the bounty hunter fan over here.
Oh, I was like, what is happening?
That is the theme song, but Viv's old crew comes to town, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the guys is Phineas. I don't really care. You know, you could kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. He didn't like her to begin with, okay? And homie played her. He set that whole cafe. He set that whole cafe on fire, and I said, "Excuse you. Excuse you.
You are jumping. You're jumping." Okay.
What did I miss?
So, first, when Viv was a bounty hunter, when she got this salvage stone, she took it and like retired on sight. Like she was like, "All right, I'm out," and didn't say anything. Whatever, bounced.
I'm following.
So when the magical is like coming after Viv and the shop, and she keeps saying no, she ends up having like a meeting with the magical, like one-on-one. And
I thought that you had already mentioned that we were just gonna move forward. Okay, all right, that's fine. I'll give you.
Well, they end up having a little bit of a deal, and so Viv and her shop are safe. Their cost isn't monetary; it's treatatory.
No, pause. We're not doing this. Jay Ashlee, pause. We are not. I refuse. You're gonna take that one back? I'll let you try again.
Thank you. The cost for protection was not monetary. It was in cinnamon rolls. It was in treats. So now Viv and her shop and like her staff are safe from the magical. We find out,
which happens to be a woman. We find out.
Yes, come
boss
through, boss
B
ladies.
Energy
Come
everywhere.
Through, boss ladies. Okay, but we find out in that meeting that Phineas, I'm saying it like Phineas and Ferb. I don't know how you actually say it. So
Phineas
feels a little bit jaded from how Viv walked away. He felt like their cut for that bounty was unfair, even though that is literally all Viv took, and everyone else split it with a smaller cut because there's one less person to split it between. So he's out here plotting for her downfall. The little student that was a customer that hated the hot drinks of coffee understood like magical stuff. This is where, again, I don't really know this world too much, but he understood like magical energies and stuff. So she said, essentially, can you put out a realm for a person?
Whoa,
she knew.
Wrong words. A realm is where you... no. Basically, no.
A boundary.
Pause.
An alert.
Don't hurt yourself. She essentially asked the student, can you help me set up a magical alarm system to let me know when the ops are trying to break into my cafe? Exactly. And he said, I got you.
So Phineas tried to come in and steal the stone, like, in the middle of the night, super secret, quiet.
Sneaky,
and the little magical alarm went off, and Viv was like, you tried it, get out. And so then she was like, he's gonna come after it again, but it's not gonna be in the same way. And then that's when Homeboy wanna set everything on fire.
Yep. But I will say it is Viv's fault.
I'm sorry. Explain yourself.
All right. There's a key point in this book where the magical student says, listen, I can set the alarm up for you, all right? But just know, it's a one and done type of situation. It doesn't reset. Mm-hmm. So if she had gone back to the magical student and said, hey, yo, we used it. Can you reset it for me? Like an iPhone. She would have known the second time he was out here trying to be a little sneak op. You know what I mean? And then, you know, she wouldn't have woken up to Amity, the cat, just sitting on her chest being like, yo, if you don't wake up. Yeah. All right?
Also, Amity is a real one. From day one, Amity is a real one.
Amity out here crawling over roofs and stuff, giving me anxiety. All right, Amity, we need to talk about your
I had a whole note before we actually met Amity, like, officially. And I was like, so we're not going to try to figure out what's on the roof? And I was like, so who stole the cake? Like, I had so many notes of like, is no one else nervous that there's this thing that we can't see? I was so nervous until we officially met Amity. But
that's right.
Okay, yeah. I can vibe with you in terms of like Viv should have put in other protections. Right. My thing was the magical showed up in person and was like, yo,
the block is hot
for your demise. Yeah,
yo,
the block is hot.
The magical showed up and was like, listen, I ain't saying no names, but the street is talking.
Watch your 6 or your 10.
I had 11. Heard. Huh?
6. Watch your 6. 6 is behind you, right? Yeah. Did you see me go through the clock? Like, wait.
You started saying numbers. I said, is this a football play? I know it's Sunday that we're filming this.
Omaha!
Did you just yell Omaha at me?
Anytime you say a football play, I would say Omaha. There's other plays, but that's my favorite one to yell.
All right. Anyways.
Who a favorite quarterback of mine is, but anyway.
Viv got the warnings. She was not prepared for what was coming. And then this.
But here's my thing. I understand what you're talking about in terms of Viv should have put like the magical alarm system back on, and I agree. Their workaround was, my employee who's going to get in her pajamas with me in bed, great security system, y'all, can sense things. And so this is my backup system. And I was like, and it didn't really work.
Are we also forgetting about the fact that Cal said, listen, I know you don't want to pay this protection fee. This was like chapter 4. He was like, listen, I know you don't want to pay this, and you think you all high and mighty because you an orc, but I just want to remind you that your cafe was built.
Wood burns.
Right, he was like, yo, this used to be a stable. I'm going to tell you right now, while you might be okay, this is going to set on fire.
Yep.
So there were hints,
she had, I think, like 2 fire warnings. So, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm not going to victim blame. I'm not going to victim blame Viv. I'm not going to victim blame her. I'm not going
Now
to.
her ego got in the way. All right, Viv, we got to talk. We got to bring you down a peg. Still love you, though. You know, this is a learning experience. You know? Finis got what was coming to him, so I'm okay.
Get that cat a snack.
But before I go into book 2, I just hope that Viv took this learning lesson and really took it to mind.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, okay, our podcast isn't exclusively romance, but it's, like, gonna be, like, the lion's share of it. And I did find it very interesting that, like, we kind of got love. Like, oh, okay, face. Okay, face.
I don't know why that's the face I made, but I just, what?
I think we got love, but we didn't really get, like, sparks, if that makes sense. Like, Viv and Pink Homie, I forget her name. Tangerine. Yeah.
We got sparks. We didn't get romance from them. I feel like that's a difference. We got sparks. There was the little hand touch. The cow was like, oh, everything's okay, huh? You know, they had the little picnic in the park moment, the little sleeping in the bed together moment. There were sparks. There was even that little gnome who kept being like, hey, yo, what's his name? Durius. He was like, don't worry, it's all gonna work out. And she said, what you mean? And he said, oh, I'm a little too early on this one. Don't worry about it.
Okay, can we talk about, like, the little gnome from the future? I loved him.
Yo, he was giving me, like, Dumbledore
him.
Vibes. I literally, I was like, yo, this is Dumbledore.
I did not get that at all, but okay.
Okay, hear me out. For those of y'all who know Harry Potter very well, you know, Dumbledore would say stuff that didn't quite make sense in the moment.
Until it made
But
sense.
then later on, you'd be like, is this what that man was talking about?
Okay, in that regard, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in that regard, yes. Can we talk about, like, the rebuild?
Yes. I don't know what you want to talk about, but sure.
The rebuild was everything to me. As proud as I was how Viv and the crew set up the coffee shop initially,
yeah.
After disaster, the coffee shop is in ruins because it was a magical fire. It was like a special fire. I can't remember how Travis explained it, but in my mind, this fire was green. Like, it was vicious. And it was like, I don't know why.
It was like red, I thought.
Either way, in my
Colors
mind,
don't matter.
It doesn't matter. In my mind, it's just how I saw it. The rebuild of that coffee shop was so everything. Like, I almost cried. Funny enough, like, when it was actually burning down, that didn't jerk any, like, tears from me. Like, I was sad, and I was like, man, I want to fight Phineas. But the rebuild, the way the community came together, the way everybody pitched in, like, oh my God, that had my heart. Oh, that had my heart.
Once again, my boy Cal came through. All right. He done built 2 coffee shops now, named it, and made signs. That's my boy Cal at work. All right. Tangerine did do some stuff. I'm not even going to lie. Tangerine did do some stuff.
She did. She kind of was like the unofficial, like, project manager, though. Like, she was like,
she was definitely the PM of the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Magical said, listen, I need y'all to rebuild because I need my snacks to keep coming, all right? This is bad for business that you got burnt down even though you paying protection. We gotta make it look right.
And it was very interesting because I thought Cal was a real one from jump, but especially when he redid the loft, I was like, all right, Cal, I see you. But man, like the way they built it back better, and even when the little magical future gnome was like, oh yeah, it is a reservation for you, but this is how it is. Like, yeah, the community that came that came with Viv
together,
from people building it to donating stuff to just like, my heart. I was like, oh my God, they're a community.
I feel like this book was right up your alley minus the fantasy section.
It was, honestly, minus the fact that every character was a creature. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a really good story from beginning to end. I really don't have any issues with it. I liked it.
Can we talk about the lady across the street? Just for like 2 seconds. Because she actually has my favorite line of the entire book.
Word?
There's
It's not Cal's bead water, because his bead water I loved.
No, it's when, I don't know this lady's name, guys. I really wish I did, but it's a lady who owns a little shop across the street.
Her name is Lainey.
Sure, we'll go with that. There's a
Lainey.
lot of names.
She sweeps a lot.
She does sweep a lot, but once people start picking up on the fact that there's some sparks between Viv and Tangerine, Lainey is talking to her, and Viv is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so then she says this line about how her husband always said, we fill each other's holes. But of course, whenever he said it, it always sounded dirty.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that line.
And I literally had to pause it and go, yo, what? And then rewind it and listen to it again. Because I was like, Travis, did you write what I think you just wrote?
Sure did.
I genuinely was like, okay, all right, this is what we doing. I respect it. But
it was really interesting. I have a question for you. And I don't even know if we'll have an answer, but I have a question for you. Do you think that Viv and Tangerine would have...
Just call her Tangerine.
Do not call her Tangerine. I said Tangerine.
I thought you called her Tangerine.
Okay, can I tell you? Because I was listening to this. I didn't read it with my eyes. When I went to write her name down, I was like, I don't know how to spell this because it kept coming out Tangerine.
Tia and Tamara. Todrick Hall. Tangerine. You know which one I'm talking about.
I just was like, Tangerine. Just don't put the read in there. Anyway.
Okay, so what's your question about Viv and Tangerine?
Okay, when Callan, the evil dude from the Mandarin, the mafia people dude, he and Tangerine were like exes or something. Like they had a little He was after her, but she wasn't interested in him. And Viv very much was just like, she can hold her own, but at some point you're being disrespectful, you can go. And I wonder if she didn't have to like step up in that protective way, if she would have like recognized her feelings, because she felt stuff here and there, but I think she also kind of just looked at like, I'm protective of her. But then when she had a reason to protect her from like, not a spouse, but from like a potential
an
mate,
unwanted suitor.
Yes. Like, I wonder if that like kickstarted it, because Viv was very lost in the potential of this. Like, multiple characters had to tell her for her to even kind of have some sort of idea that like, oh yeah. So, yeah.
I think it's made very clear that all of Viv's life, all she's done is be a bounty hunter, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think, okay, so I'm going to throw in a little piece of something that Jay doesn't quite know. So fair warning here, guys. There is like a special prequel that's written in the re-release of Legends and Lattes, which I read. Just as a, just in case it was something important. But from that and from the full story of Legends and Lattes, I kind of got the perspective of Viv only knows one thing, and that's being a bounty hunter. Mm-hmm. Like, she never thought of retirement in a sense of like what comes next. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think she has ever thought about being in a relationship or like had feelings for anyone. So I think that overprotectiveness you get of someone that you like, I don't think those sort of like social cues are programmed into her brain.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting because I felt like she had to keep being told. And I was like, okay, I get it because you're a boss. Is that why you're trying not to make a move? But I was like, I never really felt like that was the thing. And then when she started to like learn Tangerine and like her tail whips, I was like, girl, you paying attention. So yeah,
I think
cute.
I think as time went on, she started to realize, like, oh, there's something happening inside of me, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, I am curious though. Mm-hmm. You know, if you had to rate this, you know.
I actually thought about this. I
don't know why I just made a Stevie J face, but yeah. If you had to rate this.
I actually did think about this. I still don't super know, but I'll get it. You go first.
What? Okay. I'm gonna let her just throw this at me this time around here. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I'm not even playing with you, which probably shocks Jay and a lot of people out there who know me. I thought the writing was excellent. Travis did an incredible job. I was into it. I think for me, it just wasn't something that I was like over the moon about. Like, you know, if someone asked me about it, I'd be like, oh yeah, it was a cool book. Like, I liked it. But it's not something that I would run around and tell people like, oh my God, you got to read this. You got to read this. You got to read this. Like, I think if there had been maybe just like 2 less characters in all of this, I could have rocked with it a little bit more. That was definitely difficult to just be like, who the hell is talking right now? Like, especially listening to the audiobook, I was really just like, I don't know who you are. And even when they would say names, I was like, who?
Yeah.
What?
The names were tough to follow.
Yeah.
Like, literally, my notes, like, pretty early on, I was just like, anytime I introduce a character, just write the name down. Because I could not keep up with it. So.
Right.
Okay. I think I'm ready.
I hope so. It's your turn.
Wait, what did you rate it?
It's like you never listened to me, Jay.
I do listen to you, but I was reading my rating notes when you were talking.
So you weren't listening to me.
I heard you. I didn't process what you said. Could you tell me what you rated it?
Everybody comment below. Do you think Jay was listening to me or not? I rated it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, that's a good rating. I think I'm gonna have to go with a 3.75.
These points are like these decimals are killing me. They're killing me.
Here's the thing. Just because it was so outside of my range, it will kind of default to a 3. But at the same time, I think Travis did, like, it was a good book. It's just not, I'm just not the audience. But, like, it's a good book, so I don't want to rate it badly because it's not a bad book, but it's just for me personally. So I think I have to give it a 3.75. It doesn't all the way get into the 4 category for me, but I think it's above a 3.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Oh gosh.
It's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy.
No, I know, but follow-ups of ratings make me nervous. Okay, go ahead.
If this book was more of like a small town book with humans in it, about someone opening a bakery and just, you know, a cozy little small town romance, it would be a 4? Okay. That's all. That was the only question I had. Like, if it was humans instead of animals.
If it was humans instead of creatures, yeah, I think it would be a 4. I just feel like, and again, this is just, that's what I'm like, I don't, like, the book is not bad. It was just, I felt like I had to do so much, like, mythical research to just follow along. And then I just kind of, like, guessed and filled in some gaps and was like, I'm going to just think of it like this and keep it moving. So, it was a good book. Like, I'm not, like, it is a good book. It just, I don't think I'll reread it. And that is a large component to my rating system because I reread books.
Your rereading is not real.
I don't think I'll reread it. We can fight about this another day. I don't think I'll reread it. But it is a good book. Like, if I knew someone that kind of likes this stuff, I'll recommend it. But, like, if I don't know that you like this specifically, I don't think I'll really mention this book again. Ooh, that hurts. Because Legends and Lattes, not necessarily the book, but, like, the coffee shop in the community is so special. But I also don't drink coffee. So it's like, if I was in the town, I'd be, like, the student, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, just give me a cinnamon roll. Like,
I don't even know what to say to something like this, especially knowing, guys, what's coming down the line for Jay. I'm a little concerned with her
processing. My whole brain, or just the processing of it?
I'm gonna just point here. You take it for what it is.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with a 3.75.
Yeah,
So I mean, I want it to be higher, but just because I'm not gonna reread it, I can't put it in the 4 category.
You know what? I am curious, and I'm gonna ask y'all for a little assistance here. What is something you do think that is a cozy fantasy that Jay would like? Like, for example, I just bought You Can't Spell Treason Without T. And it's kind of similar.
I saw that cover. I thought that was super cute. I thought that cover was super cute.
So I'm going to read that. It's giving the same vibe. Everyone at book club told me if you like Legends and Lattes, you'll enjoy this. So what do you think is a cozy fantasy that Jay would enjoy? That doesn't have a lot of mythical creatures that she's like, what did you just say to me? Because personally, I'm going to tell y'all now, I might not be a big fantasy reader, but I'm a watcher, all right? I watch a lot of fantasy, so my brain was like, oh, I know what an orc is. I know what a gnome is. All those things, all right? Thimble and Amity, those ones were a little questionable, but, you know, comment below. Hit us up in the DMs. Tell us, what do you think Jay should be reading this fantasy spooky season, all right?
I will also say this. If you are, like, artisty-ish, if you can draw what you think the characters are, that would be very helpful. And honestly, if you could give me, like,
fan art. She's asking for fan art.
Drawings of the characters, there's a chance I would continue with the series because it is super cute, but I am confused. There's literally, I kid you guys not, I'm very imaginative, but there's like a mental block. I can't see past what I don't know, and I just don't know this world. So
I'll send you some fan art when we're done with this, so you could be like, oh, that's what that is.
I feel like it's gonna be a lot of kind of vibes, because Amity, I full on just guessed. I just created a cat, made it more menacing, gave it some cute fur, and he's agile, and that's how I just made Amity. I don't know how Travis has Amity, but that's how I have Amity. Amity is also cream colored with light blue spots.
Are you asking what? Are you telling me? Are you asking?
No, that's how I made Amity. Amity for me is cream colored with light blue spots. So guys,
well, I'm gonna go ponder what my co-host is doing in her brain over there.
We don't need to jump into it. It's okay.
In the meantime, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode. I gotta go figure out what she thinks just happened in this book. In the meantime,
don't be a Phineas. Please don't be a Phineas. Whoever, don't be him.
Be an Amity. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, whenever you're listening or watching this. And don't forget to comment down below. What do you want to see us read and break down? All right, especially this spooky season. All right,
and go to Chelsie for Spooky Rex.
That's a lot of work, but I got y'all. There's plenty on the shelf next to me. All right, have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.